Finding calm when you feel confused. A Mind Over Time documentary. The man who made the world laugh, Robin Williams' hidden battle. Sound of gentle laughter fading into silence. Then Robin Williams' voice from an old interview, warm and alive. Robin's voice. You're only given a little spark of madness. You mustn't lose it. His iconic smile appears on screen, then slowly fades. Narrator. There was a time when laughter itself had a name. Robin Williams. A man who could transform into anything. A genie, a doctor, a teacher, a lost boy who never grew up. He made millions smile with a generosity that seemed limitless. But behind that radiant humor and boundless imagination, Robin was fighting something far more complex than sadness. He was fighting an invisible war inside his own mind. Footage transitions. Robin on stage, full of energy, then cut to his last film appearances. Something's different in his eyes. Narrator. In his final months, those closest to him noticed changes. His wife, Susan, later described it. Anxiety attacks that came without warning. Tremors in his left hand. Paranoia. Insomnia so severe he barely slept. Depression that seemed treatment-resistant. He'd forget lines he'd memorized perfectly. His sense of smell disappeared. He'd see things that weren't there, shapes moving in the corner of rooms. Susan Schneider-Williams appears in interview footage. Susan, it was like playing whack-a-mole with symptoms. We'd address one thing and 3 more would pop up. We didn't know we were chasing a ghost. Narrator. When Robin Williams died on August 11, 2014, the world was told it was depression. Media headlines screamed about suicide and mental illness. But the truth came later, revealed during his autopsy. Robin Williams had been living with Lewy body dementia, one of the most aggressive and misunderstood brain disorders known to medicine. Screen shows medical imaging. Healthy brain versus brain with Lewy body pathology. Narrator. Lewy body dementia affects approximately 1.4 million people in the United States alone, though experts believe millions more remain undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. It's the second most common form of progressive dementia after Alzheimer's, yet most people have never heard of it. Why? Because its symptoms mimic so many other conditions: depression, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, even psychiatric disorders. Doctors often miss it until it's too late. Microscopic view of Lewy bodies, abnormal protein deposits in brain cells. Narrator. The disease is caused by abnormal protein deposits called alpha-synuclein, which build up inside brain cells like toxic clumps. These Lewy bodies disrupt the chemical signals that control everything we take for granted: thought, movement, emotion, perception, sleep, autonomic functions. Imagine your brain's communication system. Billions of neurons sending messages every second, suddenly scrambled by static. That's what Robin was experiencing. Statistics appear on screen with soft, serious music. Text on screen. 1.4 million Americans have Lewy body dementia. 50–80% are misdiagnosed initially. 50% of Parkinson's patients develop dementia symptoms. Average survival, 5 to 8 years from symptom onset. Symptoms: hallucinations, confusion, rigidity, sleep disturbances, cognitive fluctuations. Narrator. Unlike Alzheimer's, which primarily affects memory, Lewy body dementia attacks multiple systems simultaneously. Visual hallucinations occur in up to 80% of patients. Not vague shadows, but detailed, vivid images. People see children playing in their gardens, animals that aren't there, strangers sitting in their homes. Robin saw strangers. He knew they weren't real, which made it more terrifying. His rational mind was trapped inside an irrational experience. Archival footage, Robin performing, brilliant and alive, intercutting with brain scan imagery. Narrator. Movement becomes rigid, like early Parkinson's. Sleep brings nightmares so vivid that people act them out physically, sometimes violently. Cognition fluctuates wildly. sharp and lucid 1 hour, confused and lost the next. Autonomic systems fail. Blood pressure drops, digestion slows, body temperature regulation breaks down. And through all of this, the person inside remains aware. They feel themselves slipping away. Susan's voice returns. Susan, archival. The doctors said if he'd lived, he would have been locked in his body within a year. He was losing his mind, and he knew it. That's the cruelest part. He was still Robin, still aware enough to know what was happening to him. Narrator. After his death, Susan fought to make his diagnosis public, not for pity, but for understanding. She wanted the world to know. This wasn't weakness. This wasn't a choice. This was a brain under siege. Transition. The mood shifts from biographical to universal. Narrator. Perhaps you're watching this because someone you love is showing signs of confusion. Perhaps you yourself have felt that fog, that terrifying sense of disconnection, of thoughts slipping through your fingers like water. Perhaps you've wondered, am I losing myself? Soft pause. Narrator. If you've felt that confusion, that fear, that sense of being lost in your own mind, know this: you are not broken. You are not alone. You are human, and there are ways to find calm, even when your world feels unfamiliar. Music softens to near silence. Narrator. This is a story about confusion, and about finding peace within it. About the people living with dementia who refuse to be defined by it, about the science that explains what's happening in the brain, and about the small, powerful ways we can reclaim moments of clarity, connection, and calm. Final image, Robin's smile, then fade to gentle light. Narrator. Robin Williams spent his life giving joy to others. Now, his story gives us something else: permission to speak openly about these diseases, to seek help without shame, and to understand that even in the darkest confusion, there are glimmers of light. Text appears. This documentary is dedicated to Robin Williams and the millions living with dementia. You are not alone. Understanding the storm. What happens in the brain. Visuals. Gentle animation of a healthy brain. Neurons firing in beautiful patterns. To understand what people with dementia experience, we need to understand what's happening inside the brain. Not in medical jargon, but in human terms. Dr. Elise Park appears. Calm, compassionate neurologist. Dr. Park. The brain is the most complex organ we know. 86 billion neurons, each connecting to thousands of others. When we think, remember, move, or feel, we're activating cascades of electrical and chemical signals. Dementia doesn't just erase memories. It disrupts these fundamental communication systems. Animation shows Lewy body proteins accumulating in neurons. Narrator. In Lewy body dementia specifically, those alpha-synuclein proteins we mentioned clump together inside neurons, particularly in regions that control dopamine and acetylcholine, neurotransmitters essential for movement, attention, memory, and perception. When these chemicals can't flow properly, the brain's functions begin to fracture. Dr. Park. Imagine your brain as an orchestra. Every section needs to communicate perfectly to create music. Lewy body dementia is like someone randomly cutting wires between instruments. The musicians are still there, still trying to play, but the coordination is lost. That's why symptoms fluctuate. Sometimes the signals get through, sometimes they don't. Statistics appear with source citations. Text on screen. Visual hallucinations. 76% of LBD patients, Lancet Neurology 2023, REM sleep behavior disorder, present in 90% before or at diagnosis. Cognitive fluctuations. Attention, alertness varies hour by hour in 80%. Parkinsonism. 85% develop tremor, rigidity, or slow movement. Autonomic dysfunction. Blood pressure, digestion, temperature regulation affected. These aren't just statistics. They're people, mothers, fathers, teachers, artists, engineers, who wake up one day and find their reality has shifted. Margaret Haynes, 72, early-stage Alzheimer's, sitting by her window with her notebook. Margaret: I don't have Lewy body dementia. Mine is Alzheimer's. But I understand confusion. Some mornings I wake up and the world feels rearranged, like someone's moved all the furniture in my mind. I know my daughter's face, but her name hides. I know I'm home, but it doesn't feel like home. It's frightening. Dr. Park: What Margaret describes is disorientation, a core feature of many dementias. The hippocampus, which creates our mental maps of space, time, and context, becomes damaged. So the brain can't anchor itself. Patients feel perpetually lost, even in familiar places. Gentle animation, hippocampus lighting up, then dimming. Narrator: The hippocampus is where new memories form and where we contextualize information. Where am I? What time is it? What was I doing? When it fails, those questions have no answers. Time becomes elastic. Today feels like yesterday. Yesterday feels like 10 years ago. Places become mazes. Interview: Paul Ridley, 79, Lewy body dementia, sitting with his wife, Anne. Paul: The hallucinations are the strangest part. I see a cat, Tabby, very specific, sitting on that chair. I know it's not real. My brain tells me, Paul, that's a hallucination. But my eyes say, no mate, that's definitely a cat. So which do you trust? It's exhausting, this constant reality checking. Dr. Park: Paul's experience is classic Lewy body dementia. The visual cortex and the temporal lobe, areas processing sight and recognition, misfire. They create images from incomplete data, like your brain filling in details from shadows and expectations. And unlike psychosis and schizophrenia, LBD patients often retain insight. They know it's not real, which adds a layer of meta-awareness that's profoundly distressing. Footage, brain scans showing areas of reduced activity in dementia patients. Narrator: In Alzheimer's, the hippocampus and temporal lobes shrink first. Memory and language suffer. In Lewy body dementia, the occipital lobe, visual processing, and the brainstem, movement and sleep, are hit early. In frontotemporal dementia, it's the frontal and temporal lobes, personality, and behavior change. Each type has its own signature, its own pattern of loss. Dr. Park: But here's what people don't understand. While certain regions fail, others remain surprisingly intact. Emotional memory, procedural memory. These can persist. That is why someone with advanced dementia might forget their daughter's name but still feel love when she enters the room. The emotion system, centered in the amygdala, is remarkably resilient. Interview: Carlos Alvarez, 68, vascular dementia, drumming softly on a table. Carlos: I can't always find words. English comes hard since my stroke. But rhythm, taps complex pattern. Rhythm never left. My hands remember. My body remembers. Maybe the memory isn't just in my head. Maybe it's everywhere. Carlos is describing what neuroscience now confirms. Memory isn't stored in one place. It's distributed across networks. Motor memory lives in the basal ganglia and cerebellum. Emotional memory in the amygdala. Semantic knowledge in the temporal cortex. Even when one system fails, others can compensate, if we give them the chance. Dr. Park: This is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. Even in disease, even in old age, the brain forms new connections when challenged appropriately. This is why enrichment matters, why music therapy works, why social connection slows decline. We're not stopping the disease, but we're activating backup systems. Statistics on neuroplasticity research. Musical training increases hippocampal volume and connectivity. Nature Reviews, 2024. Social engagement reduces dementia risk by 35%. Lancet Commission, 2024. Bilingualism delays symptom onset by 4 to 5 years on average. Physical exercise increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, supporting neuron health. The brain Robin Williams lost was extraordinary. Comedian, actor, improviser, capable of creating entire worlds in seconds. But every brain has that capacity for adaptation, for resilience. The question becomes, how do we support it? How do we find calm when the storm hits? Music shifts to something gentler, more hopeful. Narrator. The answers lie not in fighting confusion, but in learning to move through it with compassion. Let's meet the people who are doing exactly that. Margaret's piece. Finding anchors in the fog. Morning light through a window. Margaret sits with her teacup and notebook labeled M. Margaret. People think dementia is forgetting. But it's more like, everything's there, but the filing system's broken. I can see the files, I just can't open them when I need them. So I've learned to work around it. She opens her notebook, pages filled with simple entries in neat handwriting. Margaret, reading. Monday, tea first, breakfast next. The robin looked cross. That's all. But when I read it, I feel peaceful. I wrote that. It's mine. It proves I'm still here, still noticing things. Narrator. Margaret was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's 3 years ago. A former literature teacher, she built her life around words, memory, and precision. When her memory began failing, she felt like she was losing her identity. Interview. Emma, Margaret's daughter, 48. Emma, Mom would get so frustrated. Why can't I remember what I read yesterday? Why did I ask you the same question 3 times? I tried to reassure her, but she felt humiliated. The turning point came when her neurologist, Dr. Park, suggested radical acceptance. Not giving up, accepting what is, then building structure around it. Dr. Park, in clinical office with Margaret. Margaret, your brain is changing. We can't stop that. But we can work with what remains strong. Your procedural memory, the memory of how to do things, that's intact. Your emotional memory, how things feel, also strong. So we build routines that use those systems. Footage, Margaret making tea the same way every morning, each movement automatic and soothing. Narrator. Routine isn't monotony. It's safety. When actions become automatic, they bypass the damaged hippocampus and rely on the basal ganglia, which stores motor sequences. Margaret's tea ritual is medicine disguised as a habit. Margaret. Same mug, same time, same steps. I don't have to think. My hands know. And in those 10 minutes, I'm not confused. I'm just making tea. It's very calming. Dr. Park. This is why we encourage consistent daily structures for dementia patients. Predictability reduces anxiety because the brain doesn't have to constantly orient itself. Where am I? What time is it? What comes next? With routine, those questions are answered automatically. Margaret writes in her notebook. Narrate. The notebook serves a different purpose. It's not about remembering, it's about expression. Writing engages motor skills, language processing, attention, and emotional reflection simultaneously. It's cognitive exercise that feels meaningful, not medical. Emma. I used to correct her. No, Mom, that was Tuesday, not Monday. Or, you already told me that. I thought I was helping her stay accurate. But accuracy doesn't matter. Connection does. Now, when she tells me a story for the 3rd time, I listen like it's new. Because for her, it is. Scene. Margaret and Emma having tea together, laughing about something. Margaret. Did I tell you about the robin? Emma. Tell me again, Mom. Margaret. He looked so cross, puffed up like a tiny grumpy man. I almost apologized, but I don't know what I'd done to offend him. Both laugh. This moment, this simple joy, is what remains when memory fades. The laughter, the warmth, the connection. Margaret may not remember this conversation tomorrow, but she feels the love in it now. And neuroscience confirms that feeling matters. Dr. Park. The amygdala, which processes emotion, degenerates much slower than the hippocampus. So emotional memories outlast factual ones. A person with advanced dementia might not remember your visit, but they'll retain the feeling of being loved. That's not nothing. That's everything. Margaret looks out the window content. Margaret. Some mornings I wake up and forget the world. Then I look out the window and remember the light. It remembers me back. That's enough. Consistent, wake-sleep times support circadian rhythms. Daily rituals, tea, walking, writing, provide predictable structure, gentle correction or none at all, validation over accuracy. Journaling or voice recording preserves sense of self. Natural light exposure regulates mood and orientation. Margaret's strategy is simple but profound. Work with the brain you have, not the one you wish you had. Find anchors, sensory, emotional, procedural, and return to them when confusion rises. Margaret. They say I'm losing my memory, but I'm still collecting moments. They're just not always in order. That's all right. A poem doesn't have to be chronological to be beautiful. Carlos's rhythm. When words fail, music speaks, sound, soft drumming, a steady Latin rhythm. Narrator. If memory lives in many places, perhaps language does too, not just in words, but in rhythm, melody, and movement. Carlos Alvarez, 60 Gate, sits at his kitchen table, fingers drumming a complex pattern. Carlos, in Spanish-accented English, after my stroke, words, scattered. I'd think water and say window. Hungry becomes hurry. Frustrating. But this, drums faster, more intricate. This never broke. Rhythm stayed. Narrator. Carlos was a jazz percussionist in Barcelona for 40 years before a stroke led to vascular dementia. The stroke damaged language centers in his left hemisphere, causing aphasia, difficulty finding and producing words. But his right hemisphere, rich with musical networks, remained largely intact. His wife, Lucia, 66, puts on an old bolero record. The music fills the room. Lucia. Watch. Carlos stands, takes her hand, and they dance. Every step perfectly timed, fluid, graceful. Narrator. This is procedural memory at its most beautiful. Carlos's body remembers dances from 40 years ago, even as his verbal memory crumbles. The neural pathways for these movements, carved deep through decades of practice, live in the basal ganglia and cerebellum, regions relatively spared in vascular dementia. Dr. Park, voiceover. Musicians show remarkable resilience in certain cognitive domains. fMRI studies reveal that musical training literally rewires the brain, increasing volume in motor cortex, auditory cortex, and corpus callosum. These extra connections create redundancy. When one pathway fails, others compensate. Brain scan comparison. Non-musician versus lifelong musician, showing visible structural differences. Text on screen. Musicians have 25% more connectivity in motor regions, Journal of Neuroscience. Music activates more brain areas simultaneously than any other stimulus. Rhythm therapy improves gait and coordination in Parkinson's dementia patients. Familiar songs access long-term memory even in advanced dementia. Carlos's therapist uses something called entrainment therapy, synchronizing daily tasks to rhythmic patterns. It sounds simple, almost silly, until you see it work. Carlos folding laundry to a steady beat, each fold matching the rhythm. Then stirring soup in time with music, then tapping his way through getting dressed. Carlos. When I have rhythm, I can organize myself. Without it, everything's chaos. My thoughts are gestures, scattered movements. everywhere. But with beat, movements become controlled, purposeful. I find order. Dr. Park. Rhythm acts as an external scaffold for motor planning and attention. The auditory cortex entrains, synchronizes with motor cortex, helping coordinate action. We see this in Parkinson's patients, too. They freeze while walking, but if you add a rhythmic cue, a metronome, music, even counting, they walk normally. The beat becomes a bridge across damaged pathways. Lucia speaks, emotion in her voice. Lucia, people ask if I'm sad he can't talk like before. Sometimes, yes, but listen. Carlos drums a complex rhythm. She claps in response. He answers with variations. We're talking. Not with words, but we're talking. He's still here, all of him. Research confirms what Lucia intuitively knows. Music releases dopamine and oxytocin, neurotransmitters that enhance mood, reduce anxiety, and promote social bonding. For someone with dementia, these neurochemical boosts can temporarily improve cognition, attention, and even pain tolerance. Statistics appear. Text on screen. Music therapy research reduces agitation by 50% in dementia patients. Cochrane Review, 2023, increases dopamine by 9% in striatum during pleasurable music. Nature Neuroscience. Improves autobiographical recall. Familiar songs activate memory networks, decreases cortisol, stress hormone, by up to 25%. Carlos. Music keeps me alive. When I play, I don't think of loss, I just listen. The music knows who I am. It tells me back to myself. He plays a short solo on his old conga drum, eyes closed, completely present. Narrator. In those moments, Carlos isn't defined by what he's lost. He's defined by what he still creates. Rhythm, beauty, connection. And that's not a small thing. That's life persisting. Text on screen. Using music to find calm. Play familiar songs from person's youth, ages 10-30. Strongest musical memories. Sing together, even if they can't speak, they may sing, use rhythm for tasks. Folding, walking, eating, live music, recorded when possible, greater social engagement. Respect preferences. Not everyone likes the same music. Lucia. If you have someone with dementia who's agitated, confused, lost, put on their favorite music. Just try it. You might be surprised what comes back. The couple dances again, slowly, the music soft and sweet. Narrator. Words are only one way to be human. Carlos reminds us there are others. The caregiver's hidden crisis. 8:30 a.m. kitchen. Jenna Thompson, 44, organizing pills into weekly containers by dim light. For every person living with dementia, there's often a caregiver living alongside them, unseen, exhausted, and slowly disappearing into the weight of that love. Jenna. I promised my mother she'd never go into a home. I was so confident when I said it. Don't worry, Mom, I've got you. I didn't know what I was promising. Nobody tells you about this part. Footage of Jenna's day. Waking her mother, helping her dress, guiding her through breakfast, answering the same question repeatedly, rushing to work, rushing home, cooking, cleaning, bathing, bedtime routine. The exhaustion is visible. The economic value of their labor exceeds $250 billion annually. But the personal cost? That's harder to quantify. Jenna. My day starts at 5 a.m. and ends after 11 p.m. Between that, I work part-time, raise 2 teenagers, manage Mom's medications and doctor appointments, pay her bills, prevent her from wandering outside at night, and answer the same questions endlessly. When is Dad coming home? He died 3 years ago. Do I tell her again? Watch her grieve again? Or do I lie and say he's at work? There's no right answer. She starts to cry, then catches herself. Jenna. Sorry, I don't usually. I'm fine. Dr. Park. Caregivers experience chronic stress that's comparable to combat veterans in terms of cortisol levels. Prolonged elevated cortisol literally shrinks the hippocampus, the memory center, and increases risk for depression, anxiety, cardiovascular disease, and dementia itself. Caregivers are 600% more likely to develop clinical depression than non-caregivers. Statistics appear. Stark and sobering. Text on screen. The caregiver crisis. 11 million family caregivers in U.S. for dementia patients, 40 to 70% experience clinical depression. Cardiovascular disease risk increases by 200%. Average duration, 4 to 8 years of intensive caregiving. 70% report no respite or breaks from caregiving duties. Economic value, $257 billion annually in unpaid labor. Narrator Jenna's promise, "You'll never go into a home," is one millions of families make with pure intentions. But intentions don't prepare you for the reality of round-the-clock care, the financial strain, the social isolation, the grief of watching someone you love disappear incrementally. Jenna. I love my mother. I do. But some days I resent her. I'm ashamed to say it, but I do. I resent that she gets to forget how hard this is, and I have to remember everything. I resent that my life stopped while hers just drifted. Then I feel guilty for resenting her, which makes me angrier, which makes me feel more guilty. It's a cycle. Scene. Jenna at a caregiver support group, Thursday evening, community center. Narrator. This weekly support group is Jenna's lifeline. Support group member, Michael. I screamed at my wife last week. Screamed. She was hiding things. My keys, my wallet, and I couldn't find them. Turned out I'd put them in the freezer. I'd done it, and I screamed at her like she was the problem. Others nod knowingly. Jenna. We've all been there. Group facilitator, trained counselor. The anger isn't because you don't love them. It's because you're grieving while caregiving. You're mourning who they were while managing who they're becoming. That's traumatic. You're allowed to feel it. Dr. Park. Support groups aren't luxuries. They're interventions. Social support directly reduces cortisol. Sharing experiences normalizes emotions that feel shameful in isolation. And learning strategies from others further along the journey provides practical and emotional tools. We should prescribe support groups the way we prescribe medication. Jenna learns a new technique in group, validation therapy. Group member, Sarah. When my dad asks for his mother, she's been dead 40 years, I used to say, "Dad, she died." He'd cry like it was new. Now I say, "Tell me about her. What was she like?" He lights up. We talk about her. Then he forgets he asked, and he's peaceful. Jenna, taking notes. Connection, not correction. Narrator. That phrase changes everything for Jenna. Scene. Home. Jenna's mother asks the same question for the 15th time that day. Jenna's mom. When is Dad coming home? Jenna takes a breath, uses her new approach. Jenna. Tell me something you love about Dad, Mom. Mom, smiling. Oh, his laugh. He laughed at everything. Made the silliest jokes. Jenna. He did. You two laughed a lot together, didn't you? Mom. All the time. I'm very lucky. They sit together, peacefully. Narrator. By validating her mother's emotion rather than correcting the facts, Jenna shifts the interaction from conflict to connection. Her mother feels heard, not wrong, and Jenna feels less like a custodian and more like a daughter. Dr. Park. This is therapeutic communication, meeting people where they are emotionally, even if where they are doesn't match reality. It reduces agitation in patients and stress in caregivers. Both benefit. Jenna reflects weeks later. Jenna. I learned something crucial. Self-compassion isn't selfish. Taking a break isn't abandonment. I started accepting respite care 2 afternoons a week. I see a therapist. I say no to things. Some days I cry. Other days we laugh. Both are care, both are love. Practical guidance for caregivers appears. Caregiver self-care, non-negotiable. Respite care. Even 3 hours a week reduces burnout by 40%. Support groups, in person or online. Alzheimer's Association has free groups. Therapy for yourself. Grief, anger, guilt are normal and need processing. Physical exercise, 30-min day reduces cortisol and improves mood. Set boundaries. Not all promises are sustainable to keep. Share tasks. Don't carry it alone. Jenna, I used to think caregiving was about giving everything. Now I know. It's about giving love and keeping a little for yourself. Otherwise, there's nothing left to give. She hugs her mother, both content in the moment. Jenna's story is millions of stories. If you're a caregiver watching this, please hear this. You're doing something extraordinarily difficult with extraordinary love. You're allowed to struggle. You're allowed to ask for help. You're not failing. You're human. Paul's laughter. Humor as survival. Paul Ridley, 79, sits in his armchair seeing something we can't see. Paul, to empty chair. Hello, cat. You're not real, but you're very persistent. I respect that. He turns to camera with a grin. Paul, Louis, body dementia gives me hallucinations. Could be worse. I could see spiders. Instead, I've got a polite tabby who visits daily. We haven't understood. Paul's humor is his survival strategy. And according to neuroscience, it's also medicine. His wife, Anne, 77, laughs beside him. Anne. When he was first diagnosed, the hallucinations terrified him. He'd see people standing in corners, children running through the garden. He knew they weren't real, which made it more frightening. His mind was betraying him. Then one day, he just decided to make friends with them. Paul, if my brain's going to be confused, I might as well confuse it back. With joy. Can't fix it, but I can laugh at it. Turns out, that helps. Paul isn't wrong. Research on humor and brain health reveals something remarkable. Dr. Park. Laughter triggers a cascade of beneficial neurochemicals. Dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. It activates the prefrontal cortex, reducing stress hormones like cortisol. In patients with movement disorders like Paul, Lewy body dementia affects motor control similar to Parkinson's. Laughter actually improves coordination temporarily. We've measured it. Footage, Paul standing, shaky. Then Anne tells a joke. Both laugh, and his tremor visibly decreases. Text on screen. The neuroscience of laughter. Activates brain regions, prefrontal cortex, amygdala, hippocampus, motor areas. Increases endorphins by 27%, natural pain relief. Reduces cortisol by 39% in chronic stress. Improves motor function in Parkinson's Lewy body patients. Enhances memory recall. Positive emotion strengthens encoding. Narrator. Paul attends laughter therapy twice weekly. A group session where people literally practice laughing together. It sounds absurd until you witness the results. Footage, laughter therapy group, people forcing laughter that becomes genuine, everyone's mood visibly lifting. Paul. First time I went, I thought, this is daft. We're just standing here going ha 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 like lunatics. But then something happens. Fake laughter becomes real laughter. Your body doesn't know the difference, and afterward, I feel clearer, lighter. My body works better. Dr. Park. Forced laughter activates the same neural pathways as spontaneous laughter. The brain doesn't distinguish. Within minutes, the vagus nerve, which regulates heart rate, digestion, inflammation, becomes stimulated. Heart rate variability improves, indicating reduced stress. Oxygen intake increases, feeding the brain. It's measurable, reproducible medicine. Anne. His neurologist was skeptical at first, but after 3 months of laughter therapy, Paul's tremor medication dosage went down. His sleep improved. His hallucinations didn't stop, but they bothered him less. Laughter gave him agency. Agency. Perhaps that's the key word. Dementia strips agency from people. Control over memory, movement, perception, independence. Humor returns a piece of it. It says, I may not control my symptoms, but I control my response to them. Paul. The doctors can't cure me. The pills slow things down, maybe. But laughter? Laughter is something I can do. Every joke is a small rebellion against this disease. It doesn't win every time I laugh. Scene. Paul and Anne watching old comedy videos together, both laughing. Narrator. Laughter also creates shared joy. Connection that persists even when memory doesn't. Anne. He won't remember this afternoon tomorrow, but right now we're laughing together. That's real, that matters, and I'll remember for both of us. Practical guidance appears. Text on screen, using humor to find calm. Watch comedy together. Familiar comedians from their era. Share silly moments. Don't take everything seriously. Laughter yoga therapy groups. Yes, they exist and work. Permission to be imperfect. Humor reduces pressure for getting it right. Inside jokes. Even if they forget the joke, the joy remains. Paul. If you're living with this, any dementia, any confusion, find reasons to laugh, even small ones. Laugh at the absurdity. Laugh at the mistakes. Laugh because you still can. It won't fix your brain, but it'll fix your day. And some days, that's enough. He glances at the empty chair. Paul. Right, Kat? He winks. Anne shakes her head, smiling. They hold hands. Paul proves something Robin Williams knew intuitively. Laughter is survival. Even in darkness, especially in darkness, humor is a light we can choose to turn on. People who feel isolated by dementia find something they've been missing. Belonging. Sign on door, memory cafe, all welcome, no judgment. Narrator. Memory cafes exist worldwide, safe spaces where people with dementia and their caregivers gather without medical appointments, without assessments, without pressure. Just connection. Margaret reads a short poem she wrote that morning. Margaret. The robin looked cross but sang anyway. Sometimes singing is the bravest thing we do. The end. Gentle applause. Carlos, tapping tambourine softly. I like that. Brave singing. He starts a rhythm. Others join, clapping, humming. Music fills the space. Narrator, this isn't entertainment. It's neuroscience in action. Dr. Park, observing from the side. Social engagement triggers oxytocin release, the bonding hormone. Oxytocin reduces anxiety, promotes trust, and actually has neuroprotective properties. Group singing or music making synchronizes brain activity across participants. They're literally getting on the same wavelength. Social isolation increases dementia risk by 50%. Lancet Commission, 2024. Loneliness, smoking, 15 cigarettes each day in terms of health impact. Group activities increase oxytocin by 40%. Memory cafes reduce caregiver burden and patient agitation. Belonging activates reward centers, emotional regulation, stress reduction. Narrator. Jenna is here, helping a new caregiver who looks overwhelmed. New caregiver, Linda. Crying. My husband doesn't know who I am anymore. We've been married 52 years and yesterday he called me that nice lady. How do I do this? Jenna, holding her hand gently. You just did the hardest part. You showed up. Here, have tea. You don't need to have answers today. Just breathe. Linda nods, tearful but less alone. Narrator, this is peer support at its most powerful. Not professional advice, just human witnessing. Linda's pain is met with understanding from people who've walked the same path. Paul tells a joke to a small circle. Paul. Doctor says, your memory's going. I said, whose memory? He said, yours. I said, whose? Laughter ripples through the group. Elderly woman. Oh, you're terrible. Paul. I try. Narrator. Humor. Here is not minimizing pain. It's making space for both pain and joy to coexist. Nina Patel, the architect, walks through the space observing design elements she incorporated. Nina, quietly to camera. This room was redesigned with dementia in mind. Round tables instead of rows encourages conversation. Large windows with natural light supports circadian rhythm and mood. Soft colors, high contrast between walls and floor, reduces visual confusion. Non-reflective flooring. Shiny floors look like water to dementia patients and cause fear. Even the teacups are brightly colored with easy grip handles. Narrator. Nina's grandmother attended a memory cafe in her final years. That experience changed Nina's career. Nina. I watched my grandmother transform when she came here. At home, she was withdrawn, confused, anxious. Here, she laughed, she sang. She helped pour tea for others. The environment supported her remaining abilities instead of highlighting her losses. I thought, every space should do this. So, I made that my life's work. Scene. An elderly man who's been quiet suddenly stands, disoriented. Man. Distressed. I need to go home. Where? Where's home? Immediately, 3 people move toward him. Not staff, just other attendees. Woman. Sarah. You're safe here, love. I'm Sarah. Would you like to sit with me? I saved you a biscuit. She gently guides him to a chair. Another person brings him tea. Within moments, he's calm. Narrator. This is collective caregiving. When one person needs support, the community provides it. Not with professional intervention, but with human kindness. Dr. Park. Watch what just happened. His amygdala signaled threat. Confusion triggered anxiety. But gentle touch, soft voices, kind faces, familiar rituals like tea, these activated his parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. His cortisol dropped, oxytocin rose. He felt safe. That's not magic, that's social neuroscience. Carlos and his wife Lucia dance slowly in the corner to recorded music. Lucia, to camera while dancing. People ask me, aren't you sad? Yes, sometimes. But look, we're dancing. We're here together. That's not nothing, that's everything. Margaret and her daughter Emma sit by the window together, tea in hand. Emma. Mom, do you remember why we come here? Margaret. Thinks, not exactly, but it feels safe, like people understand. Emma. They do. We all do. They sit in comfortable silence, watching others. But it does something equally important. It reminds people they're still part of the human family, still valued, still worthy of joy and connection. Jenna. To group. Can I share something I learned this week? When one person forgets, another remembers for them. That's what we do here. We're a collective memory. You hold what I forget, I hold what you forget. Together, we're whole. Murmurs of agreement, knowing nods. As the afternoon winds down, people help clean up, rinsing cups, folding chairs, saying goodbyes with promises to return next week. Paul. To Linda, the new caregiver. First time's the hardest, next week's easier. We'll save you a chair. Linda. Thank you, I'll be here. The room slowly empties. The music fades. The light through the windows grows golden. Every Thursday, this room transforms loneliness into belonging. And belonging, it turns out, is one of the most powerful medicines we have. The empty room, chairs in a circle, sunlight streaming in, a space that holds so much humanity. What remains? Finding peace in the present. We began with Robin Williams, a man who made the world laugh while losing himself to Lewy body dementia. His story is tragic, yes, but it's also a doorway into understanding something profound about what it means to be human when memory fades. Robin performing, then his wife Susan's advocacy work after his death. Narrator, Susan Schneider. Williams spent years after Robin's death educating the public about Lewy body dementia. She wanted people to understand. This disease is brutal, complex, and often invisible until autopsy. But she also wanted something else, for people to stop seeing dementia as nothing but loss. Susan, archival interview. Robin's brain was under attack, but who he was, his kindness, his generosity, his love, that persisted. Even at the end, even in his worst confusion, he was still trying to make people smile. The disease took his cognitive functions, but it never took his heart. Narrator. This is the paradox of dementia. What we think defines us, memory, language, reasoning, can deteriorate. But what truly defines us, emotion, connection, presence, often remains. Dr. Park appears thoughtful and warm. Dr. Park, I've spent 20 years studying neurodegeneration, and the longer I study it, the more I realize. Memory is not the measure of humanity. Presence is. A person with advanced Alzheimer's who can't remember their daughter's name still feels love when she walks in the room. That feeling is real. It matters. It's stored in different neural networks, the amygdala, the limbic system, that remain relatively intact. Brain imaging showing emotional centers still active in advanced dementia. Dr. Park, we call it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and rewire, even in disease, even in loss. The brain recruits alternative pathways, compensates, finds new routes to old destinations. It's stubborn, resilient. We should be too. Montage returns, Margaret writing, Carlos drumming, Jenna caring, Paul laughing. Narrator, these people living with dementia teach us something science is only beginning to measure. Confusion doesn't have to mean suffering. Loss doesn't have to mean emptiness. Even in the hardest moments, there are glimmers of peace, joy, and connection. Margaret, I may not remember yesterday, but I remember this feeling. The warmth of tea, my daughter's laugh, the robin outside my window. Those are real. Those are mine. Carlos, when I lose words, I find rhythm. The music tells me who I am, even when I can't tell myself. Jenna, caregiving breaks you open, but that breaking creates space for a different kind of love. Less about fixing, more about presence. Paul, I forget names, dates, where I left my glasses, but I remember how to laugh, and some days, that's the only thing worth remembering. The community gathered, laughing, singing, crying, supporting. Robin Williams' story ended in tragedy, but these stories, Margaret's, Carlos's, Jenna's, Paul's, and millions more, are still being written. They're stories of adaptation, resilience, and the surprising ways humans find meaning even when the brain betrays them. Hope in the research. New biomarkers enable earlier detection, 5-10 years before symptoms. Lifestyle interventions, exercise, social connection, cognitive engagement can delay onset. Neuroplasticity research shows the brain adapts even in disease. Better caregiver support reduces burden and improves patient outcomes. Dementia-friendly design transforms environments to support remaining abilities. Dr. Park, we don't have a cure yet, but we have tools, medications that slow progression, therapies that maintain function, designs that support independence, communities that prevent isolation, and most importantly, we have understanding. Dementia isn't madness, it's neuroscience, and when we understand what's happening in the brain, we can respond with compassion instead of fear. If you're watching this because you're confused, frightened, or feel yourself slipping, take a breath with me now. In through your nose, hold it gently, and release. Feel your feet on the ground, your body in the chair, the air moving through you. You are here. You are present. You are not alone. Ground yourself in what's real right now. the texture of your clothes, the sound of your breath, the beating of your heart. These are anchors. When confusion comes, and it may come, return to these. They will hold you. Margaret's journal entry appears on screen, her handwriting, Margaret's journal. Some mornings I wake and forget the world. Then I look out the window and remember the light. It remembers me back. Narrator. The light remembers you back. The people who love you remember you back. Your body remembers you back. In rhythm, in laughter, in the familiar comfort of routine. Confusion doesn't have to define you. You are more than your memory. You are the love you've given, the kindness you've shown, the laughter you've shared. Those things live in other people now. You've made a mark that no disease can erase. Final scenes, memory cafe, everyone together, a sense of community and acceptance. Robin Williams once said, "You're only given a little spark of madness. You mustn't lose it." Perhaps that spark, that essential irreducible humanity, doesn't live in memory at all. Perhaps it lives in connection, in presence, in the courage to keep showing up, even when your mind feels like a stranger. Narrator, you are not alone. None of us are. And that, in the end, is what remains when everything else fades. We have each other. To learn how others live meaningfully with dementia and find hope through connection, watch our full documentary, You Are Not Alone, Living Well with Dementia. Click the link in the description or the end screen. Don't forget to subscribe to the Mind Over Time channel where we explore memory, emotion, and the science of staying human. One story at a time.